I do feel that this is the best time for all kinds of storytellers, whether it's a cinematographer, a writer, a director, an actor, a producer, a content creator, to keep generating different kinds of stories which would challenge the human mind and also surprise them and also take something forward with them.
I read the script and immediately knew that this is going to be way out of my comfort zone. So that was very, very exciting because I knew that people were not really offering me anything to do with love and romance. And I don't know, they would not imagine me doing something like that, or being a sweet person or a charming guy or charming some woman. And
Hello, everyone. Welcome to PeepingMoon.com. I'm Rashida Sahani, and today joining me for a super interesting conversation are Ashwiny Iyer Tiwari and Abhishek Banerjee for their upcoming anthology, Ankahi Kahaniya. Hi, you two. How have you been?
We are fine, thank you. How are you? Are you?
hello,
I have
hello.
been great. So I would like to start off by saying that when I watched the trailer, I got this very simple vibe from the film. Okay. And when I watched it, I realized that it has a very deeper meaning attached to it and a very relatable and important issue because I moved to Mumbai. So I know, how it feels. I could completely relate to the character. So you tell me, how did this collaboration happen between you two, Netflix, and making it into an anthology?
So when Dua connected with me, she wanted to do something with this anthology, and I really like the idea of interpreting love in a different avatar, and it was about challenging myself and not going the predicted way that how I would look at love, and also to go into a deeper meaning and a different meaning and interpretation of love. And that's what I felt was very important for the times like these. This
Mhm.
was written during the pandemic. Piyush Gupta had the idea, one of my co-writers, and Nitesh Tiwari and Shreyas Jain co-wrote it together. And what I liked was that it was just not a love story, but it was a very deep uh, psychological driven
Yeah.
love story, which had a lot of peeling to do, and it had a lot of layers which had to be opened up to understand why a certain person goes through certain emotions, in this case a love, and in this case it was an interpretation of loneliness, which was very evident during the pandemic. And that's why um, it's just not about uh, 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 the four walls. It's also about the four walls having some kind of life in it.
Definitely, definitely. Abhishek, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, though, it was, I think, I was just approached as an actor. I got a call from Ashwini ma'am, and immediately I got excited. I was at the airport, and for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to do something with her. And then I read the script and immediately knew that this is going to be way out of my comfort zone. So that was very, very exciting because I knew that people were not really offering me anything to do with love and romance.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they would not imagine me doing something like that, or being a sweet person or a charming guy or charming some woman. And here he's in a way trying to do that, even if it's not a human being. He has, he takes her out for a date. He wants to make her smile. He wants to give her a good time. So, all of this was quite a task because I never prepared for romance. I mean, like how it's very easily, whenever we make a film on love, we tend to put it in a romantic genre. And I know that romantic genre, the romance, is very misunderstood between actors and like, itself. Like, we sometimes do not know how to project the kind of romance which is expected out of us
Mhm.
from probably the producers or the audience. And then you start doubting yourself with them, probably whether you'll be able to do something like that or not. So the idea was to capture love. The idea was to capture honesty, and the idea was to capture, like, the, the truth in the relationship, and not trying to make it aspirational, but make it completely real. In fact,
Yeah.
I just heard, Ashwini, I was thinking that when somebody was saying it was very unrealistic, and I was like, I think this is the most realistic love story possible. And probably what we see usually is something which I find unrealistic, and probably, though, of course, like, I understand that for a huge section of the audience, you need to like probably exaggerate the romance so
Yeah.
that they start feeling it. But I think we somewhere enjoy it more when it's about conversations, when it's about honest conversations, when there are no filters between two lovers. I think that's the most beautiful part. That's the most beautiful relationship to see. And that's what I think I tried to achieve, or we tried to achieve through the film.
I'm sure. Agreed. And Ashwini, as you mentioned before, it's not, even I felt the same. It's not a very conventional thing. We don't watch it every day. We don't hear about such stories. So, what was that one thing or the part that attracted you the most to, tell this story to the audiences?
I feel that one part, which is on a very psychological aspect, is that we all are attached to some kind of thing. And the thing could be, and how you used to learn in school, living thing and non-living thing.
Yeah.
And the non-living thing which we are attached to is not something which we actually talk about, is only because when you fall in love with a person, or we talk about relationship with respect to people, but we never talk about relationship with respect to objects. And we are attached to a whole lot of objects, objects in form of memories, object in form of some gift, object in form of a card or a photograph, or a
Mm.
thing which was given, and which will last with you for very long. There are so many there are like people I know, and we must have read also that they're attached to their childhood
Mm.
teddy bears and dolls, I
I
don't
know.
know,
Yeah.
and all those kind of things. And that is also, but once you become adults. But why? Because there is some kind of attachment, and there is something you speak unknowingly, and even as
Mm.
a child you have spoken unknowingly to objects, but that time it just looked okay. But why is this question that when you become an adult, this kind of it's not cool to be talking to an object. So
Mm.
the feelings are the same, and maybe it is just interpreted in a different ways because now you're an adult. So I do feel that how you talk to an unknown universe, and you think that there's a universe talking to you, and similarly talking to your heart, or talking to your mind, or talking to an object is the same for me.
Okay, got it. And Abhishek, how was the relatability factor for you? How much could you relate to your role?
Oh, completely, because I was living during COVID times that time. So, I mean, this is, I think, one of the first films which I shot for the minute the lockdown was over. So I was already in a space which was quite lonely. Like, even if you have somebody at home, but still, there are times when you don't have anything to
Yeah.
talk to. And we have been together for so many months together, and how much TV can you watch, how many movies can you watch, how many films can you watch, how many because there's nothing happening. There are no sports matches, there's nothing eventful which is happening in the world. So suddenly all the events are done, and you don't have
Mm.
someone to talk to. You don't have conversations apart from the fact that you have to cook and do your household chores. And so yeah, I was relating to myself. I didn't need to really relate to anybody else. And I also realized that it's a very lonely world, not only Bombay, like anywhere in the world. Like if you are in a place where there's people are busy, and a city which is fast, nobody has time for anybody, the neighbors don't know you, you don't really have a proper, how do you put in, community habits. You don't really have that in a city like Bombay. And everybody is an outsider.
Mm.
Everybody has come from somewhere or the other to make their dreams come true, ambitions come true, earn money, so that you can support your middle class or low middle class, or poor families back home. So there is a lot of there's a lack of conversation in the city. there are
No, I just
there's
want
a
to,
lot of talking, but
yeah,
not less conversation. So
I
that
just
is what.
want to say one sentence here. Sorry,
Sure.
Abhishek, just because this,
Yes, yes,
I
ma'am.
didn't want it to slip out. Is that when I used to work in the agency, in the ad agency,
Yeah.
that time, sometimes we used to have late nights, is because of the kind of work we were doing, and there were some times when we used to leave, and I used to see some. Young colleagues of mine who would still be in office, and I used to ask them that, why are you not going home? Is because what are you sitting and doing in office? And they said that what would we go and do at home? Is because we don't stay here. We are from
Correct.
outside, and we come here to work. And I think for us, then our office becomes our home, is because there's so many people around, and you can app, or you can talk to each other, you can eat uh, dinner with each other or lunch with
Yeah.
each other. And when you go back home, you only go back home to, I've literally got this word saying that you go back home only to sleep, to get up next day in the morning and again come back. So I do. So this is, if you ask me, yes, what is the thing? Yes, it is this part which
Okay.
made me wanted me to explore the inner emotion, the unsaid emotion, the Ankahi Kahani
Yeah.
of an individual, of a human being who goes through this every day but fails to recognize it.
Agreed completely. Abhishek, you were saying something?
No, no,
Sorry,
that's
Krishna,
not
I
like
cut
that.
you
No, no,
there.
no, no. That's I think I was done there. Like, that we talk a lot and there were less
Yeah.
conversations, and because of that, you start missing them. And the more you miss them, I think the more lonely you start becoming, because you don't know who to talk to. And so there are no 2 a.m. calls in real life actually. And
Hmm.
so that's something which you always talk and you post about in interviews and stuff like that. But when reality hits you, when you really want to talk to somebody, you might not find in a city like Bombay. So for me, it was very easy to relate to that personally. And then of
Yeah.
course, like someone who I always want to be aware of my surroundings, of other people's life and their stories and their backstories, because that's something which comes naturally. That's not something which I do as an actor. I just want to understand everybody's life. So that I mean, for me, a salesman life, I know somebody who's selling clothes every day, and probably you do not know how many pairs of shirts he has, or how many pair of pants he has to wear and look presentable in a particular celebrations, or
Hmm.
things like that. So for me to empathize with that fact and understand that fact was also very, very interesting.
Okay, great. And do you also feel that now web is giving every filmmaker, every producer, every actor a space to sort of present stories like this one? Now, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the interview, that I haven't come across something that talks about this, being attached to objects, which we used to do in our childhood. Some people even do it today, which is normal. But no film, or I don't remember seeing anything of this sort. So do you feel that web is sort of pushing a lot of content, quality content out there?
I do feel that this is the best time for all kinds of storytellers, whether it's a cinematographer, a writer, a director, an actor, a producer, a content creator, to keep generating different kinds of stories which would challenge the human mind, and also surprise them, and also take something forward with them. Cinema of all kinds um, can entertain you, can make you cry, can make you laugh, can make you think, can inspire you, aspire you, and sometimes you may not agree with the idea, but at the same time, it would still leave a mark somewhere in some
Yeah.
form. So this is the best time as storytellers to have, is because you can get to explore a whole lot of stories in various forms, whether even if it's a book adaptation, or if it's a story written as an original.
Yeah.
But there is, or if it's more, it's like a biography, or it's like anything in all genres of storylines. And that's what is more exciting, is because the audience and cinema lovers get to see
Yeah.
stories from everyone. And thanks to the internet age, that audiences and cinema lovers are aware of different capabilities of actors. They are aware now of who the director is. There was a time when no one knew who the director was, and
Yeah.
now they are aware. And thanks to them, maybe I'm talking to you today. So it is about that. They're even aware of the music director. They're aware of the art director, and that what gives us joy. That every piece of individual, every, sorry, not piece of individual, every, yeah, object piece,
Mhm.
every individual who is joining the dots, making or adding each color to the canvas, creates a painting of joy, which is a great place to be in. And also
Definitely.
I think it's great to have producers and content creators who are ready to experiment and to
Yeah.
find new voices from every part of our vibrant country, which where the fabric and the colors and the textures and the language change, and still we get to understand in every language. So it's just not about Hindi, it's about telling stories in various languages right now. And OTT platforms are giving that opportunity for everyone to speak a story in their own language.
Of course. Yeah. Definitely it does. Abhishek, what do
Yeah,
you feel
I think
about
I
that?
think I think I think full credit to the platforms and full credit to the audience to, actually start expecting this kind of content from us. I think that's where the change began, where they I think expect us to surprise them, or they expect us to show them what they have not seen before, for them
Yeah.
to notice the kind of layers and the kind of effort we put into making the kind of cinema we do. I think so that is all being appreciated a lot. So this appreciation has also brought about a change, and more and more, I think from here on in the future also, I think we're going to see more people and audience joining this whole movement of watching
Yeah.
content which is more than uh, just a entertaining whatever masala or entertaining uh, pattern movies or web shows.
Yeah.
So that in fact it's relevant across the world. If you can see the kind of shows which people like, they want entertainment and
Agree.
they also want, like, something like a dark. Probably a dark is not a
Yeah.
highly entertaining show, but it's very, and you really need to focus
Yeah.
to go through that show. So I was very happy when I saw Dark being ranked, I think, the top
Yeah.
trending shows on Netflix, and people talking about it, and waiting for the next seasons. And it's a very highly scientific show too. They're talking about too many timelines and the casting in that. So when you see things like that, you get inspired yourself, because you know that, okay, this is the same Indian audience which is watching Dark, जिनको हमने
Yeah.
ये बोलते हैं कि यार नहीं नहीं, ये शायद पसंद नहीं करेंगे, या ये लोग
हाँ.
शायद, पर ये
समझ
वही
नहीं
लोग हैं,
आएगा शायद.
ये समझ नहीं आएगा। तो
हाँ.
so ये बड़ा, जो पहले बातें होती थी कि ऑडियंस को लेकर, कि ऑडियंस ऐसी है वैसी है, वो चेंज हो गया एटलीस्ट। Now
Correct.
at least you know that you have to create your product, you have to give your best, and then let the audience decide, whether they like this pattern, they don't like that pattern. So yeah, I think it's a win-win situation for all creators, for all artists, for the people who are making, for the people who are funding this, or
Hmm.
running these content platforms. So for every सबके लिए, I think it's a win-win situation.
Definitely it is. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Ashwini and Abhishek, for joining in. It was a pleasure chatting with you. All the very
Same here,
best.
same here, same here.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.